Here's how I took this raw image and turned it into this using Lightroom. Follow along. I started off by cropping the image to a 4:3 ratio and doing some basic global adjustments to the exposure and white balance before moving into my local adjustments. The first one I added was a radial mask to brighten up the foreground since it was a bit underexposed, so just pumped up the shadows and I added a little warmth. The next one I added was a radial mask to accentuate that sun glow that was coming through the trees there. So just slight warmth, a little bit of dehaze and clarity. And then it was affecting some of the areas, so I used the subtract mask and then used the luminance range to kind of get rid of some of those areas that I didn't want to be affected. Next, I used a brush mask to tone down some of those brighter highlights in the river as they were pulling just a little too much attention from my eye, and I really wanted to push your eye up towards El Capitan, but still using the river to kind of lead your eye there. The sky was just a little bright, so I used a sky mask to gently drop the highlights, add a little bit of warmth to really just kind of help push your eye to the frame. Once the masks were in a good place, I went back to the basic panel to make a few small tweaks to the tone and contrast, just dialing in that mood from that soft morning light. I adjusted the tone curve to fade some of the harsher highlights since it was a bit overexposed straight out of camera, and then I moved over to the HSL panel to warm up the greens and yellows. I wanted a little more golden and cohesive tone overall. I added a little subtle sharpening and a light vignette, something I do on all my edits just to give it a little bit of focus and depth. The last steps here were just fine-tuning the calibration sliders and then a little bit of color grading to really accentuate that glow that was happening from the sun on this early morning. And lastly, I just wanted to remove this distracting element in the bottom left and that little stick up there in the top left corner. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed watching my process from start to finish in Lightroom, and if you have any questions or comments, drop them below.